everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father. I'm always bringing you an awesome interviews, and I've got another one lined up for you today. I have none other than Lips from Anvil. Lips, how's it going?
It's going real good.
Now, you guys have a new CD that's getting ready to drop, and I can't wait to hear the CD from you guys. It's called Hope in Hell. Now, let's talk about how this new CD came about and what you guys are doing with this one.
Well, it's another Anvil album, isn't it? Number 15.
Wow.
It's been what am I supposed to say? Been writing and recording music for over 30 years, and I love it. I'm having a great time.
Now,
how did it come about? It comes about because that's what we want to do.
Now, number 15, that's really cool that you guys have 15. This will make your 15th album coming out. Lots of bands don't really reach that many of albums out. What is the thing that keeps you guys together and keeps doing this?
I think it's just part of it has to do with obviously the friendship between Rob and I, between my drummer and myself. We started playing together in 1973, so it's been a lifelong endeavor,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any real particular reason why we stuck together, other than we love what we do, and that's what we get off on doing. What the hell?
Exactly, man. Exactly. But this new Anvil album, how's it compared to, say, the last couple albums? What's your take on that one?
Well, actually, it's probably. It's all comparable. It's all the same band, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same writers. So I don't know. I don't know how you go. Is it better? Is it worse? I think that's subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's new, I love it more than everything else because it's new. But
right.
I don't know whether it's better or worse or different or, I suspect it's going to do very well. We haven't sold out in any shape or form, or it's still very, very true to form Anvil. No compromise. Did what we want, the way we want to do it, when we wanted to do it. Same old,
Yeah, and a lot of bands today are really missing that. It's like, well, we got to hurry up and put this album out, and it's done like in, 3 months. I think that a lot of them has missed the concept of being, a band and putting good stuff out there.
Well, it's really it really comes down to wanting to do it and the hunger.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you just get together with the boys and put it together. You gotta. In order for it to actually mean anything, you have to have some kind of longevity and work at it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just jump in and expect something to work right off the bat. It takes years. It's like the old rule of thumb. It takes 10,000 hours to become a professional.
Mm-hmm. Now, when people start getting this album from you guys, what would you want the fans to take away from it once they hear it?
Hope.
Okay.
Hope. Plain and simple. It's the underlining idea of the whole entire record is hope.
Mm.
We're living in such an apocalyptic viewed world. Everybody's expecting the end, and we keep giving ourselves dates. It's going to end this day. It's going to end that day. It's so pessimistic.
Yeah.
And my attitude is the opposite.
Yeah.
Try to fight it. Go upstream instead of downstream.
Yeah, you see a lot of negativity going on with the world today. Something really bad happens, and they're saying it's apocalyptic. It's set in date. It's this and this and this, and I see exactly what you're saying.
The cover is sort of the cover of the CD is somewhat reflective of that attitude.
Yeah.
In the sense that the world is coming to an end. Hop on the Anvil Ark and get yourself saved.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I feel like I'm a lot of times like the only one who has an attitude like, let's survive, let's live for tomorrow instead of let's think it's going to end tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, more positive, put out positive energy, I think.
What's your favorite song off this new album coming out?
Well, that's a really difficult question to answer. And every day that I wake up, it's a different song in my head, so I don't know. Today, I guess it was Hope and Hell, because I think that because I heard it first thing this morning, but because it's already getting posted on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think they released one song for download, and before you know it, everybody's uploading it and putting it on YouTube. So it's already there, and people are listening to it. So, including myself, I went, "Oh wow, look, it's already up." But every song on this new CD leaves traces in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You can't walk away with it not being absorbed in a certain sense, and you'll remember all the titles. Mm-hmm. Because the songs are all built in that manner, so that you remember it. It's all about hook lines, and I tend to veer away from the word hook, but it is the best way to describe it. It's so that you remember it. And it's not a question of being commercial and radio oriented. It has nothing to do with that, because one of those songs, we're on radio and I can't even say the title because it has swearing in it. So we're not looking for radio play. We're looking for memorability. And these are the elements that were on our early albums. And some people feel that we've really captured the essence of what we once were, once again. But I think it's just an evolution, sort of back home, finding your way back home to where you excel and what people like most about the band. And I think we've kind of zeroed in on it. So I think that if you're an Anvil fan, this will be one of your favorite Anvil records of all time. And if you're not an Anvil fan, it will be a great introduction. And I think that there's an element of every type of metal that's out there, in a certain sense, because Anvil isn't one particular stream. We have actually quite a wide variety of what we do, and this is one of those albums that has a lot of variety on it. So I think there's something there for everybody.
That's awesome. Now, thinking back, and I'm sure you have done this plenty of times, but I know you guys have been doing this since the 70s. Have you ever thought about saying, man, I can't believe it's lasted this long and all the great songs?
It's not a question. You know what? When we started out, we were 15, 16 years old, and as green as the grass. No clue, innocent. And we made vows. Rob and I made vows to each other that we're going to do this for the rest of our lives. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty intense thing to have followed through. If you really think about it,
yeah.
Out of that innocence, it grew into this. You don't really think about. You see, I'm not a calendar person. I guess that's the best way to describe the philosophy as to why. I'm not a calendar person. I don't watch for anniversaries. The only date of the year that I kind of pay any attention to is my wife's birthday. and my wedding anniversary. Otherwise, my wife will have have my nutters on a plate, you know. So those are about the only things, and somehow I feel by watching the calendar you grow old. You know, by watching the clock you grow old, man. If you keep paying attention to how much time is going by, I think that it makes you get old. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. Mm-hmm. So I don't really think of things in terms of how long. It just seems like one long day, or one long week, or one long year, you know? Mm-hmm. Songs come and go. You know, songs are, I mean, the simplicity of it all, you know, from a musician's point of view, you have to understand, and if you have a creative mind, there's no end. There's really no end. As long as your attitude is, I want to continue, there's no end.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the Stones.
Yeah, so to me, music is almost dispensable. If you don't like this song, maybe you'll like the next one. If you don't like this album, maybe you'll like the next album.
Right.
You know, and that's what it's become to me, because it's a moment, and just like moments come and go, so does the music in a certain sense. And it's simple. Mm-hmm. It's not, you know. Writing a song takes Rob and I probably somewhere around a half an hour to write a song. And when you think about that in that half an hour, that piece lasts forever. People listen to that song forever. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to conceptualize what that means or what that actually is, but it's actually quite fascinating when you think about it. But they're just a moment. You know, they're just that half an hour. Mm-hmm. And what it turns into is what is so incredible. Mm-hmm. Because you kind of take it from the creative and musician's perspective, it was just a half an hour that I spent. So I can spend another half an hour and do another one.
Exactly.
And that's what you do. That's what my job is. So it's like, okay. You know, so it's not... It's really, it's kind of a weird thing in a certain sense, you know, like I don't even know how to describe it all, but like we were talking about this the other day at rehearsal. It's like songs can be so dispensable, mm-hmm. you know, if you want them to be, if you want it, and you can be so indecisive and never even get a song off the ground, yeah. if you want to get that way.
Yeah.
But it's really about letting the floodgates open and just let it naturally write itself is what it's really all about, and not contriving and not thinking about things and just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, music is so much a part of our lives, it's insane. I mean, honestly, music is a relief for some people.
Well, it is. It's an actually completely bizarre entity, because it comes from nowhere.
Yeah.
It's one of the only things that mankind creates that doesn't go away and doesn't break and doesn't wear out.
That's true. That is very true.
I mean, a lot of people don't think about that, but it is true. I mean, we're listening. Look at, we have symphony orchestras playing music that was created in the 1600s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the only thing that we built that lasts.
And you got bands covering music from the 50s, you know? I mean, like you said, it lasts, and that's for sure.
Yeah, it's one of the only, that our artwork.
Yeah.
You know, like the things that we kind of, mankind really takes for granted are actually the most important voicing elements of what our lives meant. Mm-hmm. The artwork and music that is going to be left behind for people to listen to in the future, that's going to be the closest that they're ever going to get to being able to understand what we were all about.
Wow.
What our era was all about. Just in the same way as when we look at artwork, I mean, that's all we have. That's all we have left of what ever mankind left behind is his music and his art.
Mm-hmm.
Like even a lot of technologies, great technologies. You know that, here's an interesting fact. There was an artifact picked up off the floor of the Mediterranean Sea. And what it was the first computer, 2,000 years old. And what this thing did, it was a geared device, like a clock, that mapped, that told and foretold all the positions of the planets for 18-year periods.
Wow.
And they're just discovering these things now that, holy shit.
Yeah.
This was around? Well, you got to ask yourself, you know, if mankind had the technology to build things like the Parthenon, certainly they could build a clock that followed the stars.
Yeah.
But we just don't seem to have enough of an insight into like actual technologies. They get lost.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen to a song, the song doesn't get lost. None of it gets lost. They can recreate it. Because for whatever reason, these things were written down or memorized. Look at all religions are based on music.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about, that's how stuff is actually really maintained. So it's actually quite, you know, I really look at music as much more important than people ever give it credit for. It's the only thing that we have in our lives that actually gives us perspective of time. Mm-hmm. That is our clock. Doesn't matter what the calendar says, but the only way that you really can get a sense of time is by, if you listen to a song that's 15 years old, you're going to listen to it and you're going to know where you were, what you were doing, and what you were actually feeling, and what was going on in your life. And that actually puts you right there. It gives you the perspective of how long ago it was and what was going on in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if you just look at a number on a calendar, it's just a number on a calendar. It doesn't give you a feeling. But if you listen to a song, it puts you there. Now, I don't know about you, but if I listen to Beatle music, I know I'm in the 1960s.
Yep.
My mind is transported into the 1960s. It capsulizes a time and place. It's actually a huge part of our backdrop and our existence on the earth. You know, in our life. I'm not going to know what's going to happen when I'm dead, but certainly in our lives. But music is an extraordinarily important aspect, and it has many things about it that are taken for granted, and it's that's why I chose it as my music, and why I chose it to do music for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. I knew it was an endeavor that I came to realize was much bigger than even myself. You know, and in a certain way, I almost feel as though, or I come to believe that in a certain sense, musicians are nothing but conduits to the other side. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really certain what I mean by that, but somehow we're connected. It's magical.
Yeah.
Because we actually have to do. We are compelled to do this and people need it, because people actually really need it. It's far more than sometimes more than medicine, and far more than anything else in their lives. They need music. You know, it's actually quite interesting, and because it comes from such an ambiguous place, the imagination.
Yep.
It doesn't really come from anywhere. It really comes from sort of the human soul. So it's a magical thing, man, that I think is a lot more important than people ever think it is. But I've really come to realize a lot of things about it. Mm-hmm. And when I create music, letting that somewhat spiritual world open, and it sings to me, and it makes me creative. So I don't know how else to explain it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've heard other musicians try to talk about it, because you really don't know where it comes from. You wake up in the morning, and you've got a song in your head. Where did it come from? And you've never heard it before. You know, how do you? It's not something that can be explained away. So it's really human element, and part of the way that the brain works. And I think we have the ability far beyond our own knowledge, and I think that these are some of, and I think awakening to them. And it could be maybe I'm one of those people that has awakened to some of these things, and that's what I'm trying to explain. But it's a connection to everybody else. It's what I've come to realize, that it's, in a certain sense, the internet is somewhat a reflection of what is really there. Mm-hmm. In a sort of telepathic sense, but we just don't know how to use it, or we haven't learned the ability to be able to use telepathy. I'm not really sure exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about connection.
Right.
You know, connection between us all.
Right.
Really. And I really believe that there is, and I think that and just like a lot of sayings, like every action, there's a reaction. Mm-hmm. And the human element, everything that one person does can have a domino effect. You know, it's just like you watch some of these science fiction movies, and they talk about paradox. If you were to go back in time and see yourself, and things like that, that there are timelines and different possibilities, and I think that these are all connected too. This is all part of the same essence, but we're still not adapted or gotten far enough, maybe possibly in our evolution to get there. But I believe that we're moving towards it very, very, very gradually, mm-hmm. and eventually we'll be able to we'll have a better understanding what our brain is actually capable of. Because I really, truly, and know for a fact, there's a lot. Well, we all know that we're only using a certain portion of our brain, and what's the rest of it for? Mm-hmm. What can that be, or what will that become? You know, it's actually quite. You know, you start talking about a lot of things about human existence. It's pretty incredible. So I'm one of those people. I do a lot of wondering.
Now, are you guys playing any of the new stuff live? And if so, how are the fans reacting to it?
Well, we haven't. We're going to do our first show since we recorded the album next week. So
okay,
we're gonna start by playing 2 of the songs, adding 2 songs into the set, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be May 11th in Freehold, New Jersey. Is that right?
That's right. And then on May 14th in Los Angeles, we're opening for Motorhead.
Oh, how awesome is that, man? That's awesome.
It's, you know what's really interesting? It's 31 years since the last time we opened for Motorhead.
Wow.
Or since the first time we opened for Motorhead.
You know,
but it's since '83 was the last time we opened for them.
Yeah, I mean, Motorhead and Lemmy is just they're like Metallica and the rest of these bands. You know, they're on a planet by themselves pretty much. You know, they just really good music, and without Motorhead and Black Sabbath, they would be not other bands, especially from over here in metal.
Well, let's look at it. Everything in metal is much like the rungs on a ladder. You can't get to the top if there's missing parts.
Exactly.
It's just as simple as that. No Deep Purple, no Black Sabbath, no. You start taking all that stuff away, and then you can go. Well, if there was no Jimi Hendrix, there'd be no Black Sabbath, there'd be no Deep Purple. So. Yeah. You take that away, and you go, well, if there was no Chuck Berry, there'd be no Jimi Hendrix.
Very true. Very true.
They're rungs on the ladder, man. Everything is connected. Everything is integrally attached. It has to be. It's interesting. You watch old YouTube videos of Chuck Berry, and it's incredible. He's doing everything that I do. I mean, it's funny. I mean, we can laugh about it, but he's making faces. He's got all those funny faces that he makes.
Yeah. And his
has a crazy body language, for sure. Some of it's very sexual.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's got his own little dance that he does, and...
Yeah, I mean, that's the first lead guitarist, lead vocalist, frontman ever.
Yeah.
Him, I guess, Buddy Holly. There are probably others as well, but it's like everything needs to happen before it can happen some more.
Very true. Very true.
We're all, everything is somewhat collective. And it's interesting because it moves in cycles. And everything musically has been done anyways.
Yeah.
Even before there was rock music, but actually, what's happened more interestingly than anything else that I find really a fascinating aspect is if you look at the difference between big band music, which happened in the 40s, and then the 50s happened, and it was basically the onset of electric guitar, right? It's once the electric guitar became sort of a staple, they started realizing how much louder it could be than even horns. And then more and more got discovered about it till the point that, wow, look at, you don't need a whole horn section to get a couple guitars, a bass, and a set of drums. Listen to how huge this sounds. Look at what you can do with it. And then you got the Beatles. Mm-hmm. Huge, massive explosion. Everybody went out and bought electric guitars. Probably the biggest boost in electric guitar history is when the Beatles came to be. And from that, everything is actually connected because it's all electric guitar music. So now, as the generations move on, all they're doing is using different aspects of playing with electric guitars. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that gets changed more or less is only the vocal application. But basically and fundamentally, it's still bass, guitar, and drums. That's all it is, for the most part, for across the board. I mean, in country and western, in rock music, in heavy metal music, in pop music. Well, yeah, they still use horns and stuff, but generally speaking, there's always electric guitars in almost every piece of music you listen to in today's day and age. So what I'm saying is, for the last 50 or 60 years, music is it's crossed generations, and that's the phenomenon. Mm-hmm. So people, like kids now today, are discovering the '60s, yeah. and they're liking it. Well, why are they liking it? Because it's still the same instrumentation. Whereas when I was a kid, when my parents said, "Here, listen to this," and they're putting on Benny Goodman, I'm going, no thanks. I want to listen to the Beatles. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's the big huge change. People are not really recognizing it, and because they're not really talking about it, and I find that kind of fascinating. But there's a huge difference, and consequently, particularly for two reasons, because of the movie that was created about my band, and because of this aspect of rock music being able to cross generations, I've got entire families showing up at my gigs. Everything from five, like when it's all age, everything from 5-year-olds to the granddad comes with.
Oh wow!
You know, guys in their 60s, right?
That's cool.
Which is almost how old I am, right?
But it's cool though. You got all types of ages coming to see you guys.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This genre of music that I'm doing is really, you see, I look at it as being cross-generational. It's rock music. It's guitar music. That's about as relevant as you could get in I mean, how does that become irrelevant? If you know what I'm saying? Like, it's 50 years that guitar music has existed. It's a guitar band. Mm-hmm. Why would it should be cross generation adaptable. It should be, if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
You have to understand, there's a way to do it so that you're doing it right, that there's enough of an element of interest for people to listen to in that you can hear aspects of different parts of that history in the pieces of music that you're listening to.
Exactly.
There's elements that you can relate to. Mm-hmm. And that's all that's important. If there's elements that you can relate to, whether it's the kind of texture or the order of notes, or whether it's the vocal line, or whether it's what the vocals are saying, or whether it's the guitar solo, but there's some element that you'll enjoy no matter how old you are. Yeah. Because you've been listening to guitar music your whole life. Most people at this point have been listening to guitar music their whole life. So there's going to be elements in Anvil that I think most generations will be able to relate to in one way or another, because I'm drawing from all the places that were the most prevalent in hard rock, in more the roots of it, because I grew up with it.
Right.
See, I'm almost the same age as rock and roll itself, as the electric guitar history, right? Like virtually the same age. I was born in 1956. I was born as Chuck Berry was taking stage. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, if you could pick any band to play with, go on tour with, who would it be and why?
If there was a band that I could join?
No, another band to go on tour with you guys. Who would you pick?
I want to go out with Motorhead.
Exactly.
Motorhead or Black Sabbath.
Awesome.
You said it. I mean, obviously. Well, I mean, lifelong friends, virtually, too, man. Incredible. I mean, 1981 was first time I met Lemmy, and great guy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a moment that I was asked to join Motorhead, and I couldn't do it. I didn't want to leave what I'm doing.
Right.
I have my own thing, so I couldn't do it.
Now, other than yourself, Lips, who else is in the band right now?
Well, there's Rob, and Sal Italiano is our bass player.
Awesome.
And he's a Staten Island guy that we met back in '82 when his band opened up for us.
That's awesome. So is it
down in New Jersey?
Let me ask you this though too: when you guys first started playing music and things like that, and it finally took off, and you heard the fans singing along to your music, if you can recall, what was your reaction to that?
I was shocked. I was shocked.
Yeah.
That was a big transition. That was a huge thing, man.
Uh-huh.
That was. I don't even. How do you put words? How do you describe what that feels like?
Right.
Listen, man. I don't take any of it for granted. I remember the first show I ever did in the United States was this, and it's a reunion of this. I got to tell you that the May 11th thing, and I'll talk a little bit about it. But the first show we ever did in the United States was down in New Jersey at this for this guy by the name of Johnny Z.
Uh-huh.
Now Johnny Z was the president of Megaforce Records. And we all know what that means. That's the guy that actually signed Metallica and got them out, and Anthrax, Testament, Overkill. I mean, it's an endless list of stuff. Well, Johnny asked us to come down and play a flea market because he was running a record store at the flea market. And what he did is he rented the hall out and put a show on, and we were the show, and it was probably one of the first metal shows ever, and people knew our music, and I was like freaking out. Okay, like I could not. I remember before the show. Rest in peace. I'm talking about Jethro, Jeff Hirsch, great guy. He took me outside to meet all the fans, and I was outside, and they were all talking about the songs on my record, and I'm going, holy shit.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that, and just actually even seeing the physical albums in the hands of people in a different country was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you got one. Where'd you get it? It's just like it's kind of, I don't know. When you come out of selling your own albums, and then you come to a place that people have it, and you never sold it to them, that it was sold through a record store, it's shocking. Mm-hmm. It just catches you off guard. So there's a lot of stuff that you just, it's fulfillment.
Yeah. It's
fulfillment, man, and it's just a very, very addictive. And I use the word addictive. I can't stop. I never want to stop. It's just, and you never get enough because you love it so much. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I'm saying. It's an addiction. And I got it at 10 years old. So I got it real bad.
Music has been part of me ever since I can remember hearing the first song ever, and it was a country song, but I've adapted to like more, heavy metal, horror punk, stuff like that. But and I'm doing the radio thing now here, and it's just awesome. It's like I can't get enough of it. So, I mean, you're doing something I would love to do, but I'm happy with just interviewing and getting music out there to people, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, my first music was Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. All Shook Up. That was amazing. I thought that was amazing. And Hound Dog. I remember that I guess I couldn't have been older than. I mean, that's my first recollection. I don't know if I might have been about three years old.
Yeah.
So we're talking 1959. Wow. See, but that's what I'm saying. Time and music.
Yep.
Right?
It all comes back around, and it always does.
And that's what I'm saying when I think about All Shook Up. That's what I'm thinking of, and it's 1959. Fuck.
Now,
sorry.
No, you're fine. That's cool, brother. This is internet radio.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So.
So
I got lost in the conversation. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. This is awesome. This has been a great interview so far. Now, with you guys doing a new album and everything, and they've been other fans that's come out to see you guys, and if there's new ones that's coming out to watch you guys play, can you tell the fans exactly what they can get at an Anvil show from you guys?
Oh, having the time of your life, having a moment where you won't forget it, and that you have a really great fucking time, man. Mm-hmm. That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of walking out dismal and you walk out feeling good. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm motivated to do. I want to make everybody feel good, man. I want everybody to have I mean like a party, like you had a great time that you won't forget, and you'll feel as though you were part of it. And what you did, you weren't there alone.
Yeah, very true. Concerts are awesome to go to, and I tell everybody if they get a chance to go out and check out their favorite band, go do it, because it may be once in a lifetime that you could see them, and that's true.
Sometimes it is that way. Sometimes it is that way because, and it's interesting. Like some of my favorite bands, I never got to see. Mm-hmm. And if I have regrets, those are the regrets.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful at this point for things like YouTube because I can find old footage and at least I get to see what I missed.
Yeah.
And a prime example is Deep Purple. I mean, I've been a Deep Purple fan since Kentucky Woman. You know what I mean? So I come by it honestly. And, Kentucky Woman, Hush, and things like, I mean, one of the greatest instrumentals that they ever did that I absolutely love is a song called Ring That Neck. Mm-hmm. Hard Road. I'm not sure whether they called it Hard Road or Ring That Neck, but it was kind of a title that had brackets with it. Anyways, incredible. Like, really, listen, I've always been a fan of that band, and they never came to Toronto, Canada.
Oh, man.
They never came, man.
That's crazy.
Isn't that and they never and quite frankly, I don't know if they even came anywhere close to it. Isn't that bizarre?
That is, because normally if you're a band, you're wanting to hit every place possible.
Yeah, and you usually do. Like, I've been touring, and I've been going to virtually everywhere that you can. So I don't know. How did they miss Toronto? But they finally broke up. I never saw them. And believe it or not, here's another bizarre thing. Never got to see them in any way. And the only remnants I saw was Ian Gillan by himself. But I saw that. And then the next time I see Ian Gillan is I'm actually talking to him. And that blew me away.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, that is bizarre. Ian Gillan had joined Black Sabbath, and Black Sabbath were playing a festival in France, the same festival that we were to play, and there was a huge rainstorm, and as they were setting up the stage, it collapsed, so the concert got canceled. So we ended up partying, and I ended up in this little pub with Ian Gillan. Great. What an amazing guy. Really, really good, really good guy. Absolutely hilarious, and got me really drunk.
And those are things that you can always remember.
And I kept on saying, no, I don't want another drink. He kept on insisting, no, you got to have another drink.
I wanted to mention this, but before I let you go here, but looks like yesterday the metal world lost another iconic musician. I think his music, his riffs were underrated. I don't think he got his due. I thought he was a marvelous musician, and that's none other than Slayer's guitarist Jeff Hanneman. And yeah. I think it sucks that we lost another one. Like I said, his writing was just unbelievable, and he was one of the founding members of Slayer. So, have you met Jeff or anything like that before, Lips or anything with Slayer?
Well, yeah, we're friends with those guys, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to find out all the gory details in a very short period of time, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, man, because you're talking about somebody I know.
Right.
When we talk about when things like it's one of the few things in life that I have a lot of difficulty with is loss.
Mm.
The human element, that aspect, you can't ever replace that.
Yeah.
That type of thing. It's really profoundly sad what has happened here. I'm very, very, I'm very, very moved. I'm really sorry about it. I don't know what to say.
Right. Yeah, I was actually on Facebook and saw it, and I was like, "Holy hell! You got to be kidding me!" I mean, this is.
Yeah, I think everybody was really, really shocked. I think that this came as a complete surprise. And that's why I'm saying I don't know the exact details what actually happened. I know that Jeff was having difficulties. He didn't feel comfortable enough to go back. And it wasn't that the guys didn't want him back. He didn't want to go back. He didn't feel confident. He was playing, but he didn't feel confident enough to go back with the band and have them depend on him. And, I don't know. All I know is that he underwent a lot of medical procedures, and that he had a lot of medical problems, not leading up to this, but in the last couple of years with the problem with the spider bite.
Yeah, I know that.
look at it's. I don't know if this is related. There's a very little I know. I think I know what everybody else knows, but I can tell you this: it's regardless, one way or another, it's just horribly sad.
Yeah,
and my heart goes out to his wife, family, to the other guys in the band, and their families, because everybody is, it's all like a big family,
Yeah,
it's horrible to my manager, to Rick,
Yeah.
to everybody at my management's office, we're all connected. It's all part of what's around me, man. So
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, please don't take my word for it. But if you love metal music, thrash metal, Slayer was it. I mean, if you don't want to believe my word, listen to Lips. He's telling you the same thing. Listen to
Slayer is a very, very special band.
Yes, they are.
A very, very unique band.
Yep.
Came out, I guess, probably 83, maybe. Mm-hmm. Might have been late 82 or 83, somewhere around then. Mm-hmm. They've been a very hard-working band for many, many, many years.
Yes. Yeah.
And they put some very, very influential music out that the world loved.
Yep.
And Jeff will be incredibly missed.
Yep.
And what else can we say?
Exactly.
I mean, this go on and on,
Yeah. Go watch.
And then the pain does not subside, by the way.
No. Exactly.
And the way I try to handle it is they're with us.
Yep. Very true.
And they're with us. As long as we think about them, they're in our consciousness, so they're with us.
Yep. They still live on through us. Exactly.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, keep the Slayer family in your thoughts and prayers and all, and Jeff's family. Also, too, go check out the old Slayer videos. They're up on YouTube. Get out your old discs, put them on, listen to them, throw it up for Jeff for one more time or a few times, however you want to do it. But like I said, I think he was one of the most underrated guitarists that should have got his due. Honestly, that's just my opinion. But I don't want to leave y'all out with just that. I definitely want to get back to Lips and Anvil here. Now, it looks like Hope in Hell is coming out this month. It looks like Germany, May 24th, and then Europe, the 27th, and then finally the U.S. on the 28th. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Awesome. Dude, I'm going to tell you, anything that Anvil needs from BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio, we'll definitely do whatever we can for you guys.
Okay, well, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Really a good time talking to you, man.
Yeah. Dude, this has been like the quickest hour I've done an interview. This has been a great interview, and just let you know, when you said Kentucky Woman from, was it Rush or Deep Purple? That's where I'm from.
Deep Purple.
Yeah. I'm from Kentucky, actually.
Well, there you go.
Lips, before I let you go, how can people reach out to you guys and say, hey, we still love your music, and how can we get to talk to you guys, or however?
Yeah, you can find us at anvilmetal.com, or you can, and once you get there, you can find our Facebook, Anvil Metal Pounders Union. Look up that, and we have our own Anvil music page on Facebook as well. There's an Anvil Metal on Twitter, which I'm on, and I guess that's about it.
Awesome. Before I let you go, will you do a promo for the show?
Sure. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Lips from the band Anvil. You are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Awesome, Lips. Thank you so much. And like I said earlier, I think it's really cool that you guys have stuck it out, from the get-go. And the 15th studio CD, people, that doesn't happen very often with bands.
Oh.
So, Lips, thank you so much for being on the show. I do appreciate it. And you guys have a great, great tour. And kick ass for us, brother.
Okay, I will, man, and I hope to see you out there.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to get you back on the show later on, too. You're welcome here anytime you want.
Okay, man.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks
for everything.
No problem. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We have some Anvil coming up for you guys here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. You only hear these right here on Uber City Radio and BODS Mayhem Hour. Thanks, Lips.
Okay, bye-bye.
Later.